Hey everyone, I just wanted to show you guys this cool little Easter egg that I found in the beginning of Arkham Knight. So it's a reference to 3 things from the Batman DC comics. It talks about some of the lore about Huntress, it talks about the origin of the Panessa Studios, and also of the various crime families set in the Arkham games. I've been playing these games for years and I've just now noticed this. I've done some research online, but I really only saw 2 to 3 brief short posts about this, and none of them really go into detail except for perhaps the Arkham wiki page. But honestly, there's still so much more to this. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to hash every detail out. Alright, so in the diner when you're playing as a cop, you can hear a conversation between 2 people at this table. It starts off when the woman brings up the topic about how Bruce Wayne bought the Panessa Studios. Here, I'll go ahead and I'll play the clip for you guys.
3 yachts?
Yep.
Who needs 3 yachts?
Bruce Wayne, apparently.
Wish I had 1 yacht. I'd probably use it too. I actually go yachting. They're just status symbols for a guy like Wayne.
He bought out the old movie studios, too.
What, that Panessa place? What's he gonna do, turn into a North Korea-style propaganda factory? Pump out movies telling us how awesome he is?
Nope. He's turning it into an amusement park.
Oh, that's kind of cool, I guess. That Panessa place was never really a movie studio.
What are you talking about? There's posters everywhere outside.
Yeah, they made movies all right, but it was all just a money laundering or a tax dodging thing for the Panessas.
Who?
Yeah, you wouldn't have heard of them. Gotham crime family. When Batman showed up, the Falcones and the Maronis, they hung on for a little while. But the Panessas, Bat smashed them within weeks.
So the movie studios?
It's just a front. Made a bunch of trashy flicks as cheap as they could, but then did some financial trickery off the back of it.
What kind of trickery?
Look, if I understood that stuff, I wouldn't owe my life savings to the IRS. Think about it. Had you even heard of Panessa Studios before you moved to Gotham?
I guess not.
Exactly. They just churned out a bunch of true life stories based on Gotham criminals as well as the odd genre flick. I swear, the only creative thing about that place was the accounting.
So can I see any of these movies?
Only on VHS, if you find them at all.
Wow.
Pity, though. Paul Sloan's in some of those flicks. Before, things went wrong. Paul Sloan, Gotham's #1 actor turned serial killer. Sorry, no, #2, after Carla.
What happened?
Well, from what I hear, he got a bit too into a part he was playing. Method acting. Went crazy and started killing people. Hey, I got an idea.
Alright, so for those that aren't familiar with the comic storyline or just the overall crime mob scene in the Batman universe, there are 2 to 3 major crime families. There's the Falcones, the Maronis, and the Bertinellis. And then there's like a whole bunch of other smaller ones such as the Panessas, who are related and connected with the Bertinellis. And then you have another smaller family known as the Skeevers with Zuko and all of them, who were responsible for killing Dick Grayson's parents. So anyways, that's the sort of general idea about the crime families in Gotham. So like the man was saying in the diner, the Panessa crime family would launder their money through these low budget movies from their studio. So now, what does that have to do with Huntress? So just to be clear, in this game universe, we're talking about the Helena Bertinelli version of Huntress, not the Helena Wayne Huntress where she's the daughter of Catwoman and Batman. Obviously in this game they don't have a child together, so this is about the Bertinelli version. Now, the Bertinellis were related to the mafia boss Tommaso Panessa from the Panessa family. The Panessa mob were a lot smaller than the other crime mobs as directly stated in the video. The main origin of Huntress is explained into further detail in a comic from the year 2000 titled Cry for Blood. So what happens is that a rival crime boss sent an assassin to kill the family of Huntress, Franco and Maria Bertinelli, along with her brother. After she lost her family, her uncle Tommaso, Maria Bertinelli's brother, took care of her and sent her to live with some of her cousins in Sicily. Their family also had control over there, and while she was there, she got to meet the Asaro assassins. While she was in Sicily, she was trained constantly and learned all types of fighting skills and learned how to use her infamous crossbow. Her cousins pretty much trained her to be an assassin. However, after some time, her cousins, the Asaros, and the other mob members are arrested and Helena gets sent to a Catholic boarding school in Switzerland for her safety. The thing is, while she was there, she did some research and took some classes about the mafia and learned about her family's origins, as well as all the mob ties that they had going on. After learning about everything, essentially she became disgusted and felt ashamed about all of this. So some time went by, and at the age of 16 she moved back to Gotham and attended a Christmas party with her uncle Tommaso and the rest of the Panessa mafia. During the Christmas party, Batman jumped in and took everybody down and got them locked up. Now this event totally lines up with what the man in the diner was saying. Like Rocksteady really did the research on this reference, it's crazy. So in the comic story, watching Batman take down all of these mobsters actually inspired Helena to become a crime fighter too. From that point on, she decided to become the Huntress and went on a revenge spree to avenge the death of her parents. However, things didn't go as smoothly. She then gets framed for multiple murders that she never committed, and then when she tries to clear her name, she discovers that her father, Frank Bertinelli, wasn't actually her father.
Sir, you are not the father.
It was in fact another mafia boss by the name of Santo. So anyway, some years later, Santo and these other mobsters worked together to take out the Bertinellis and to make an alliance with the Panessa family. I know the story is kind of complicated, but bear with me. Like, it's confusing to me too, so yeah. So Santo and the others hire an assassin, and the assassin that they sent was ordered to kill everyone, but to quote unquote spare the sister, meaning Maria Bertinelli, meaning Helena's mother and Panessa's sister. However, the assassin misunderstood the assignment and killed her and spared Helena instead.
They keep calling me crime, bitch. Dance how you killed this. I misunderstood the assignment.
After Huntress finds out this whole truth, she goes to her uncle and explains the whole situation to him. They then come up with a plan to set him up and have him killed. The plan works out. Tommaso Panessa gets revenge for his sister and kills Santo, but then he gets double-crossed by Huntress and he gets arrested. But yeah, that's basically what happened. Tommaso Panessa just gets arrested, but he gets a far different fate in the game according to the novelization of Arkham Knight, and I'm going to talk about that later. I just want to provide some context first, but yeah, just keep him in mind. So in the diner scene, when the man is explaining everything, he brings up someone by the name of Paul Sloan. I'm going to talk about him and explain how he fits into all of this. So, in the Arkham storyline in the 90s all the way to the late 2000s, the Panessa movie studios were actually quite successful, up until, of course, the first appearances of Batman. The specific dates between Arkham Origins and the events of Batman in his first year get confusing, so bear with me. Anyways, during their peak, they did movies and they hired high-profile actors such as Paul Sloan and also Basil Karlo, who later went on to become Clayface, of course. Believe it or not, they also hired Garfield Lenz, otherwise known as Firefly. Firefly works as a pyrotechnic and handled some of the practical movie effects. But anyways, after the studio went bankrupt, Firefly was amongst those that were fired, no pun intended. He got extremely angry and actually killed Tommaso Panessa. So this is what I was referring to earlier. Tommaso gets a different ending in the game, and it also helps tie in with the Arkham universe. What I'm also guessing what happened is that in the game storyline, Tommaso gets out of jail after being taken down by Batman, and when he comes back, his business studio goes out of business and he has to lay people off, and that's what led to his death. I mean, seriously, just brilliant stuff by Rocksteady. Seriously, they were able to tie everything in it. It all makes perfect sense. Just brilliant stuff by Rocksteady. But yeah, that's what happened with the Panessa family. As for Paul Sloan himself, the context for him is that he is a character from the golden age of DC Comics back in 1951 in Batman issue number 68. He was created in pre-crisis and placed in Earth 2. In that comic storyline, Two-Face was healed and was back to normal as Harvey Dent. A random movie studio heard about the story and then wanted to make a movie out of this. The movie studio then hires Paul Sloan to play as Harvey Dent. However, when it came to filming the scene where Harvey gets hit with acid, the prop person swapped out the fake prop acid with the real thing. Paul Sloan then also has half of his face burned off. Since Paul is like this hardcore method actor, after the incident, he genuinely does believe he is Two-Face and decides to follow in his footsteps. So the reason as to why the prop guy swapped out the fake acid with the real thing is quite funny. So he was actually jealous of Paul because his girlfriend was flirting with him and she wanted to be with him. The prop guy then gets jealous and does this horrible thing. Alright, so that's one out of the two origins that Paul Sloan has. The other more recent one is from Detective Comics issue number 780. In this story, Paul is a very obsessive method actor. He's like insanely devoted to his craft and he immerses himself completely in his roles. In this storyline, what's happening is that Batman's villains are teaming up to commit crimes and to ultimately work together to kill Batman once and for all. Sound familiar? The group consists of Joker, Penguin, Killer Moth, Scarecrow, and Two-Face. However, what happens is that everyone in the group gets annoyed and frustrated with Two-Face because he was always consulting the coin with practically every crime that he makes. The team is done with him and they kick him out if I'm not mistaken. The villains then come up with the wacky idea to hire Paul Sloan to play as Two-Face and have him actually help them in their crimes and plans to kill Batman. I know you guys, it sounds crazy, but just bear with me. So Paul Sloan, being the hardcore method actor that he is, he immerses himself completely and would help out the villains. However, during a crime, Paul Sloan killed the security guard without flipping a coin first, and then in Detective Comics issue number 781, the real Two-Face heard about this in a newspaper article and tracks down Paul and tortures him for a couple days and left him with the group of villains supposedly dead. However, Scarecrow realizes that he was still alive and instead used him for one of his fear experiments. In other words, he became like a guinea pig for him. During those said experiments, Scarecrow caused Paul to completely lose the ability to feel fear Paul eventually managed to escape Scarecrow, and he goes on to become a serial killer by the name of the Charlatan. In the twisted mental state that Paul was left in, he then still wants to kill Batman and finish what he had started when he took on the role of Two-Face. The attempts to kill Batman obviously fail, so yeah, that's basically like the modern origin story of Paul Sloan. In essence, this is what the Arkham Knight diner conversation was referring to when the man said he became a serial killer. What Rocksteady primarily did is that they meshed the old and the modern origins and reconfigured it in a way to also match the Panessa family mob story set in the Arkham universe. I mean, honestly, it's absolutely genius what Rocksteady did. Very subtle, but also very brilliant. The Paul Sloan and the Panessa family story also matches well with the origin of Huntress as well, and also about how Batman inspired her when she saw him take down the mob families. It also ties in well with the timeline of events in Batman's first year, leading all the way up to the events of Arkham Origins. I mean, it's just brilliant stuff. Not to mention, there's also a Birds of Prey reference in the game located in the Watchtower. I mean, it's been years and I'm still impressed by the level of details incorporated into these games. But yeah, that wraps up this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are great. If you guys would like more videos soon, leave a like, comment down below, and make sure to subscribe. See you guys again soon. Peace.